Brexit means Brexit.
Il y aura un grand souci à la frontière.
Le 29 mars, oui, le port de Calais sera prêt.
Touristiquement parlant, c'est bon. Économiquement parlant, c'est bon.
Hello and thanks for joining us for this week's edition of France in Focus. Now, 2.5 years ago, just over half of the British electorate voted to leave the European Union. And with a matter of weeks to go before that departure takes effect, there's still a good deal of uncertainty about what the economic effects of Brexit will be, not just on the UK, but also on neighbouring countries such as France. Well, it's still unclear whether or not Brexit will be orderly or disorderly, but what is clear is that the UK is the third largest consumer of French agricultural products, the second largest consumer of French wines, and France's number 5 trading partner overall, which explains why the uncertainty surrounding Brexit is causing some alarm on this side of the Channel.
3 businesses that export to the UK, 3 bosses with different plans in the event of a no-deal Brexit. This plywood company fears industrial regulations may change.
This is produced for the construction industry, according to standardized EU regulations. But without a deal, the UK might have different production norms, which will cost us more.
The company's exports to the UK were set to double. Its 320 employees are worried.
With less work, we might lose our jobs.
Some 30,000 French companies export to the UK, generating a trade surplus of around 4 billion euros. But roughly 2/3 of them are unprepared for a no-deal scenario. The French government has asked this transport company to reintroduce custom duties, but they don't want to hire more employees for the task.
I can't hire more people for customs clearance because we don't even know if there will be customs or not. The confusion makes it impossible to predict.
The confusion regarding tariffs has also hit the wine industry. The UK is the second largest importer of French wine.
English companies are stocking up on wine, so our sales have increased. Some of them also want to buy in euros so as to avoid potentially fluctuating exchange rates over the next few months. They're actively looking to find solutions to the political problems that could disrupt trade.
Paris has announced it will hire some 600 custom agents if customs duties are reintroduced.
To find out more about what the French government makes of the looming Brexit, what its economic impact might be, and what measures are being taken, we've come to the Finance Ministry here in Paris. Thank you so much for speaking to our Secretary of State, Agnès Pannier-Runacher.
Hello.
Could you just start by telling us what contingency plans have been put in place to mitigate the effects of Brexit?
The
first thing is to prepare for a hard Brexit on March 29th, so as not to be caught off guard. So that means organising customs clearance, both physically and by reinforcing customs and veterinary resources, because we'll have freight to check. The second aspect is to prepare businesses. That means over 110 meetings on the ground with as many small and medium-sized businesses as possible. And finally, the third measure is draft legislation that has been presented to Parliament to get ready for a no-deal exit. That includes a number of ordinances that make it possible, for example, to immediately recognise the professional status of British citizens working in France. So, for instance, a doctor won't stop working on the 30th of March, thank goodness. A nurse will see her profession recognised also, and so on.
Which sectors do you think are going to feel the effects the most of Brexit here in France?
Certainly, because of their long and complex history with the UK, sectors such as aeronautics, car making, or the food industry will need to regroup and adapt. But at present, businesses are more focused on avoiding a backlash from a logistical point of view, on frictions and deadlines, rather than it being a purely economic issue. Because first, you have to keep in mind that we're talking about a very important partner, but in reality, the UK accounts for just 4% of our imports and 7% of our exports. So it's not necessarily a business's most important affiliate. The second point is that on both sides, we're getting ready to support and accompany businesses during this transition period. What will be strange, though, will be to have custom duties, because that's certainly new, and that will impact competitiveness on both sides.
OK, we've talked a lot about the negative effects of Brexit, but do you think there's any reason to be optimistic? Could there be some beneficiaries here in France to Brexit?
As always, when faced with a challenge, it's possible to turn it into an opportunity. That's particularly true in the financial sector, because what is clear now is that the financial services passport will no longer be in use. So firms will no longer be able to provide their financial services directly on a cross-border basis. They'll now face the extra requirements and costs of establishing a full subsidiary. And France has worked hard on its attractiveness, so there are probably great opportunities concerning foreign investment. We have a real financial ecosystem in place. Then there are research laboratories and production, where there are prospects also, but the effects won't be as immediate there, because there isn't the same cut-off date for that type of activity. And as ever, exchange rates will also play a major role, because if the pound remains weak, then the UK will still be very competitive.
And of course, the markets don't like uncertainty, do they? Has that had a negative effect, do you think?
It doesn't seem to me that Europe has been subject to an economic slowdown over the past 18 months as a result of the UK's decision. In fact, I've seen businesses keep in touch with all their partners so as to be agile and alert if and when decisions are made. I think the aftermath of the vote was dominated by a sense of surprise. And to this day, there's still disbelief, with smaller businesses wondering whether the UK is really going to go through with its plan. So what's at stake today is the future, and for the EU to ensure that the UK's departure is as smooth as possible. So for the good of French firms, we need to broker a good deal. But obviously a so-called hard Brexit is the worst option, both for the UK and the EU.
And as far as you're concerned, is there a best-case scenario for the French economy with these Brexit negotiations?
The best deal for France is the one that's on the table today. It opens up a 21-month negotiation period with the UK so as to find the best terms for future relations. That's really what we're calling for, a good deal on future relations to ensure we won't lose everything we've built over the last 45 years.
OK, well, thank you very much indeed for speaking to our Secretary of State, Agnès Pannier-Runacher. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So plans are underway to prepare the French economy for any potential Brexit shocks. But there's one place you can go and you can actually see those preparations being made. I'm talking about the northern port city of Calais, which serves as the main hub for trade between the UK and France. Well, France 24's Catherine Norris-Trent takes us there now to take a look and see what's happening.
Nearly 2 million lorries pass through the port of Calais every year. It's a vital supply route between Europe and the UK. And so the prospect of a no-deal Brexit is taken very seriously here. Planning started a year ago, and now building work has too. Down on the construction site, the port terminal's boss is adamant they'll meet the tight deadline and avoid gridlock.
Today we're not ready, but on the 29th of March, the port of Calais will be ready. I'm not saying there'll be no problems at all, but there shouldn't be any in particular.
The port's invested €6 million in clearing and building lorry parks for customs inspections for goods coming from the UK. They insist outbound traffic will be fine, as long as drivers arrive with paperwork at the ready.
The best thing to do is that transport companies fill in all the custom documents before leaving their own countries. If they arrive with all their customs declarations, there will be absolutely no problem. They will continue to drive onto the ferries just like today.
No delay.
And it's not only at the port that last-minute Brexit-related construction is underway, but near the Channel Tunnel entrance too. This site was levelled just a few weeks ago and will soon see a major new customs post. For the many transport firms based in Calais, Brexit is a looming nightmare. 30% of David Sagnard's business is in cross-channel haulage. His lorries cross 5,000 times a year. He's very sceptical there won't be any paperwork mix-ups and delays.
I find it hard to believe it'll work. And every minute costs €1 to run these vehicles. So if you block a lorry for 1 or 2 hours, you can do the math and work out the direct cost, the hit taken by transport companies.
Some, though, in Calais see Brexit as a potential opportunity. Hotel and restaurant owners are hoping to see the return of the booze cruise. Brits nipping across the channel to stock up on tax-free wine and goods.
Having duty-free between the UK and France would make the British want to come and consume. On the boats, but also here on dry land, we hope. So they'll spend money in our town. As far as tourism and the economy are concerned, it's good.
Duty-free between EU countries was ended in 1999. Whether Calais will relive its heyday is still uncertain, as with so much about Brexit, with just over a month and a half to go.
Well, that's all we have time for this week's edition of France in Focus. Remember, you can watch this edition again or other programmes on our website, france24.com. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.